Yo, what's up, y'all? What's up? It is Double KK Double here as always, and I'm here with the one and only Alpha. What's up, my brother?
We're back again, once again, and we're going to be talking some comics in shit. And as per usual, the first half of the show, this episode is going to be dedicated to the Marvel. We're going to be capping off Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Amen to that, brother. And one hell of a series it was. Let's start off with some rumors before we dive into the specifics. There's been rumors now that Falcon and the Winter Soldier is most like 80-90% sure is getting a season 2. This will not be a one-off. And a lot of the events of episode 6 really set that up. And also this series has now spawned Captain America 4. I thought that we weren't going to be getting a Captain America 4, that Sam would be Captain America on the small screen only and carry on the lineage that way, but I guess we're getting a Sam as Captain America movie. So bravo to Marvel for spinning what was an amazing series and doing such an amazing job intertwining the reality of real life along with the fantasy of the Marvel world. And I think this was one of the ones that did it better than most. Epic story. We went over the first few episodes. In episode 5, we opened with John Walker, the fall of John Walker. We had just got done witnessing him killing somebody,
brutally fucking maim someone.
Now, and don't get me wrong, and rightfully so. Even though that wasn't the dude that specifically did it, I understand why dude was flashing. But as Captain America, you can't just cut somebody in half in the middle of a public square.
Shield.
Yeah, with the shield. And so we open with John Walker running and Bucky and Falcon on his hot tail looking to retrieve the shield. And to me, it was one of the best fight scenes in the entire show, in the entire series. That 3-person fight scene with Bucky, because like we talked about off air a few weeks ago, or last week, John Walker is strong.
Yeah, John Walker is literally the definition of retard strength. Okay, like John Walker is literally bullheaded, but he's so physically fucking powerful. And like I said, they don't scream it to you, they don't tell it to you, and they don't spell it out to you. But if you look closely, you see he's supposed to throw the shield with a certain technique. He's supposed to have, a roll of the wrist and shit, No, John Walker just chucks the shit and you watch it go through cement. And now in this handicap fight, you see this once again tilted all the way to the nth degree, where you see him working actively against Falcon's jets and against the Winter Soldier, who has an arm made of the strongest metal in the known universe.
Yes. The same metal that shield's made out of.
Exactly. You see John Walker actively fighting them both off, which is just no small task. And although by the end of it he did take the L here, you see John Walker went over pretty much damn near taking them both down by the end of it. And I think there's so much symbolism in this episode, and I'll get a lot more into it in the next episode. But in this episode, the first bit of symbolism is that you see Bucky hand the shield to Sam. He doesn't hand it to him, he just drops it at his feet.
Yeah.
And then you see Sam pick up the shield and wipe the blood off. And obviously he doesn't say anything, and it's not said, but in that moment you can tell that he believes everything up to this point is all quite literally on his hands, and it's his fault. And we don't really get into the closure of that until the next episode, but we see that planted now.
Amen. And here's the thing. This episode did a lot of setup for me because one of the more poignant scenes in the movie is when Bucky wakes up on the couch to Sam's nephews playing with the shield. And that's just a poignant episode. But let's dig in a little bit before we continue on with this episode, specifically to the Isaiah Bradley part of this episode, which for me I'm gonna say this. I know he's a fictional character. Fictional characters, if you've ever seen Jay and Silent Bob. But they did that man dirty.
Yeah.
They did that man dirty. And when you hear his story, it hits you right here. And it hits you right here in general as a human being. And it hits me right there kind of with two arrows being an African American man. Because of the fact that his story is Cap's story. Only difference is he wasn't the small kid from Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? Isaiah Bradley's story is Cap's story.
And then promptly robbed of the glory.
Promptly, yeah. And thrown in jail and experimented on to figure out why the serum worked on him. It's one of those type of things where it didn't hurt because I'm like, wow, how could America do that to him? Because like you think about things like the Tuskegee experiments, and it's like, well, that's not that far from what they actually did. You know,
so CIA moment.
Exactly. You know,
Man.
You know, so at the end of the day, it's one of those type of things where I say Isaiah Bradley's story is so many people's story, and it hits home for a lot of people, but Carl Lumbly brought it to life. We had Jamil on the show, and he talked about how he expected Lumbly to play this role. And I tell you, man, wow, he blew me out the water, especially with this episode. He dropped me with that line, like he's like, what did he say? He's like, they'll never let a black man be Captain America, and no self-respecting black man would ever want to. Boom. And it set up so much for Sam, you know. But your thoughts on Carl Lumbly and his role specifically in this episode, and
I'm so glad you brought that up. You know, I actually wanted to talk about this specifically. I have a friend of mine, very, very engaged in being vocally political, and does a lot of work for political organizations here in the west side of California, obviously with a teeming hotbed for this shit. And it's very important context here that he's as deep into the comics as I am. And so it's important when I say that from him and a lot of people, I've heard pretty commonly that there's a few bits of Falcon and the Winter Soldier that are, I'm not going to say forced, but are a little bit uncalled for when it comes to the political tagging of a bunch of things. Isaiah Bradley, far and wide among that person that I talked to and multiple other people, isn't one of those things, because there's an understanding that his character and what he says is a take not often spoken of, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
No, it does.
This is not a story that's often going to be told like this, or able to be told at all. And so seeing it brought to life from the comics, because this was canon in the comics, and seeing it brought to life exactly tit for tat here isn't some piece of new force to this or that, or anything like that. It's something that's been embedded for a very long time, both societally and literally within comics. So to see that named and spoken of and played so well by him, you know, you can see his lip quiver when he speaks. You can see his eyes shake when he talks. These small bits of acting to voice that level of torment that he went through, whole nother fucking level.
Whole different level. Now, I can understand, like, there were some people, and I would probably assume that and you can call me out on this if I'm making the wrong assumption. I'll probably assume that scenes like the scene where back in episode 3 where they engaged the cops, and all that, and basically even knowing who Falcon was, the cops still kind of you know, gave them some harassment on that. I can understand how situations like that. Here's the thing when it comes to the, I'll say, the woke situations in shows like this. And this is not me being rude. This is not me being
of course
aggressive about it. This is just me speaking the truth. Those scenes are not supposed to make you feel comfortable. They're not. They're supposed to make you shift in your seat. They're supposed to make you think. You know,
That's true.
And I think that Falcon and the Winter Soldier in their processes did a service to itself by including a lot of real world shit. Even your villain.
That's true. Yeah.
Even your villain in Kylie is more of a real world villain than anything else. She's not this horrible person. Like that. That was the one thing with it.
That's very true. Good shit bridging into this.
Yeah, jumping right back to, as a statement with the John Walker character. They took me on a roller coaster ride with him. I kind of felt bad for him. Then I didn't like him. Then he was a fucking dick. Then he fucking ruined the Captain America shield. You know what I'm saying? But then by the end of it all, by the end of even this episode, I'm starting to feel like, wow, dude, like I kind of feel sorry for this dude. Like he's really out there just trying to do what he thinks is right. And so, but you're not supposed to feel like that about the villain. The villain's supposed to be the asshole. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The villain's supposed to be the dude that makes you say, punch him in the face.
That's true.
Kylie wasn't that.
Yeah.
You felt where she was coming from. It don't matter what color you were. That what she was dealing with as far as poverty, as far as her society, as far as what was going on with the peacekeepers, you know, and them being, you know, them forcing people to move from here to there. You felt their pain. You know, and it was shown that they weren't the only ones that felt this way by the amount of help that they had, which we'll bring up later because that was brought up in the next episode, by the amount of help that they had around the world and about the support that they had, you know. And it's just one of those things where, once again, Disney did an amazing job of making everybody from your villain to your protagonist to your antagonist to all of these people very likable, relatable characters. Bucky, none of us knows what it's like to be a super soldier. None of us knows what it feels like to have a metal arm, unless you were in the military and maybe got a prosthetic or something. None of us knows what it's like to have a vibranium arm. But you know what? I felt Bucky. Throughout this series, I felt Bucky, which is why I'm going to make this last statement about episode 5, and I'll let you kind of take it away with an overall review.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm glad Bucky got invited to the cookout, because he deserved to be there.
To the cookout.
The white wolf the white wolf definitely sits in the gray area and is always invited to the cookouts. He never brings potato salad with raisins, and he's always
That's fucking horrible. If I ever see if anyone ever brings potato salad with raisins to my party, they're getting fucking kicked in the rib cage, dude. I'm catching a
Johnny
felony
Cage style.
Fuck. It should be
but anyway.
illegal.
Oh man, but yeah. No. So go ahead.
Yeah, no. To bridge into that as well, you know, I was going to talk about that. It's very interesting that they played two villains here as not sympathetic, you know, not like, I wouldn't say not like Thanos, where you feel sorry for him almost, but you see them have very human reasons why they're doing the things that they do, even if they're doing the wrong things because of them. And this is on both sides here. You see John Walker, obviously it's like, if you watched your closest friend get murdered right in front of your eyes, you would probably go into a violent bloodlust too. And so it's very real to see him lose his best friend, and then everything slows down, and then he does the wrong thing out of reaction. And so you see two versions of this loss now. You see John Walker, who went down the road of unbridled lawfulness, which is no matter what, the swift hand of justice is unisex, motherfucker. Be gone to your jugular.
Pretty much.
And then you have Carly Morgenthau, who slowly begins as a freedom fighter and begins to devolve into, it doesn't matter what happens, no matter how many people I need to kill, all that matters is the message I've sent. So you see two roads of how people react to loss and fear and not being enough.
100%. Now, the last thing that I will talk about, let's involve John Walker here, was John Walker creating his faux Captain America suit was the final scene, the post-credit scene of episode 5.
Crafting the shield and sheet.
Yeah. And it said on social media, I had a friend of mine and our friend of the show, Jamil, who said that this episode, the end of this episode, and that scene in particular, signaled the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier and the beginning of Captain America and the Winter Soldier. And boy, was he ever right going into that next episode. We closed episode 5 as far as in story with the vote, the GRC vote, and the building beginning to be taken over, and basically Kylie beginning to make her move. And so that's where we open episode 6. Man, this episode had so much to unpack in it, but let's start with Captain America's new suit, which was almost to the thread identical to what his comics outfit was, and I loved every minute of it.
Yeah. The only thing missing is the actual fucking bird on his shoulders. Like I can't talk about how much I mark out for this costume and the other one that debuted on the show. Like literally 2 of my favorite suits in comics debuted in the same episode. But for one, Falcon debuts in the 4th of July drip, you know, fucking with the he comes in bleeding red, white, and blue now. And I love it. Like instantly, you know, my girlfriend's like, you know, what the fuck is in the box? And I'm like, I know what's in the box. Just give it to me.
Yeah.
The next episode rolls in and he breaks through the window and I mark the fuck out.
Yeah, but it was one of those moments where I just couldn't help but smile. Like it just like I was like, look at it, that my boy, that my boy. And they gave us all the little moments, like when in regards to the uniform, like you have the scene after everything's kind of calmed down where he lands, and the guy goes, hey, that's Black Falcon, and the other dude goes, nah, man, that's Captain America. And I was like,
there it is.
It gave us everything that we could want as far as action. One of my favorite scenes is in the opening sequence when he's fighting against the dude in the helicopter from the Flag Smashers, and he's like, all right, dude, find somebody in that plane with flight training. And it flies up there and finds a little Asian lady,
Red Wing.
And so like it gave us everything we could ever want. Like I said, it even gave me a reason to like John Walker. It gave me a reason
to like John Walker.
Why? Because he defied. I actually felt happy for him at the end of the episode when he gets the U.S. agent. He's like, I'm back. I was like, yeah, you're back. All right, you're gonna be an asshole, but you're back. But like the scene when he's going after Carly and or Kylie, and he has to make the choice between continuing to chase her or saving the senators and all that are in the truck, and he makes the choice to try to attempt to save the truck.
Yeah,
it gave me a little respect for John Walker. I was just like, okay, this is a dude. Like I said, his first thought is to duty. Is not duty, but you know, duty to his country.
It's his work. It's what he's dedicated himself to.
And so, and just a side laugh note, when that thing was dangling over the thing and Bucky was standing underneath it, I'm like, move, motherfucker. You know you can't catch that. Even with a vibranium arm and super surgeon, get out the way. But yeah. But it was the episode itself was well written. All the action I could have ever asked for was given to me within the first 20 minutes of the episode, and I love that. It just jumped right into it. So your thoughts on kind of the role John Walker played in the finale, and also we didn't touch on last episode the appearance and the debut of Contessa.
I was gonna say,
Contessa Von Land. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Madam Hydra. Yeah, Val. But don't ever call her that. Val. Just keep it in your head. But yeah, man. But your thoughts on the arc and how it finished out with John Walker?
Yeah, man. To keep it to John Walker singularly here, Man, I was really happy with this because I like John Walker as a character because he starts out as a literal fucking joke. And he always does. He literally starts out as, "Hey, I'm Captain America," and everybody's just like, "No, you're not."
Yeah.
And that's how it always begins. And you see him slowly fight that and try to be Captain America until he realizes he's not, gives it up, and becomes the US agent, and really realizes that, no, I'm not Captain America. I'm the US agent. I'm an anti-hero, and I'm kind of a fucking asshole, but I also get the job done. And that's his weirdly placed character, and it's been like that for fucking 20 years now. And obviously my little heart fucking exploded because I'm sure you know what's coming here if we're going to keep it down to John Walker. We finished the episode, them talking about his costume, and he comes out in the US agent costume, which, as he points out, is literally just the same costume but black. But that doesn't matter because it looks cool, damn it.
Yes, it does. It's just pretty badass. Like,
it looks great.
You know, John Walker, I have a feeling he's going to play a factor in season 2. As well as Contessa.
I'm not done. I'm not done yet. If you I don't know if you could tell, but obviously Zemo and Walker have only ever been associated with each other for one reason.
Hydra.
No. My favorite reason, the reason I've been waiting for all along, it's the fucking Thunderbolts.
All right. So you think that's what Val's putting together, is the Thunderbolts?
I would, in my hopes and dreams, yes, because in my honest, as far as I can think, Walker and Zemo are only in tandem with each other with that bitch on top when it's related to the Thunderbolts.
Nice.
Zemo and Walker both at one point have led the Thunderbolts separately and while they were in the same team.
Now, Zemo, let's talk about him in that last episode, because it just took me until this morning when I rewatched the episode to realize that it was Zemo's right-hand man was the guy who blew up all of the rest of the Flag Smashers.
That was Zemo's boy.
Yeah, I was just like, because at first I was like, who is he? Is this a new player? And I'm like, who does he work for? And then I put 2 and 2 together when they flashed back to Zemo. I was like, that was his butler, dude, like his servant. Oh, okay.
It took me until my second watching to realize, like, oh wait, no. Zemo stops at that moment because that motherfucker literally stops and rests at the thought of killing them.
It's killing the rest of them.
Cold fucking blooded.
Now, let's get into Kylie's death, because her death kind of sets up, in my opinion, the major big baddie for season 2. Kylie's death was at the hands of the one and only, incomparable, beautiful, lovely Sharon Carter.
Sharon fucking Carter.
And I personally think her reasoning behind killing her was that she did not want her secret revealed by the young Miss Kylie, whose last words were, "I'm sorry," instead of "she's the power broker." But
she's the power broker. Shoot the bitch.
But you know, we can wait for that reveal till season 2. But at the end of the day, like, Kylie served her purpose, but she was one hell of a character that left us, like I said, feeling sorry for her to an extent.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you know, left us feeling bad that she had to go through what she went through in order just to be able to live a semi-normal life, even though she had gone off the deep end. It's kind of like watching Joker again.
Yeah.
Even though he goes off the deep end and he does some really, really off the wall shit, you understand why. When you see all the
where
shit
it comes from,
it.
It's a different message.
Yeah. And so that's where I sit with the Kylie situation, is that I understand her situation. I don't fault her for trying to do what she tried to do. Unfortunately, she just ran across Captain America and it didn't work out for her.
Yeah. It's an interesting choice to have ran this whole show with so many high profile decisions and changes with a completely new and off the wall villain.
Right.
Not only that, but a villain that is literally just supposed to be a coin flip mirror of Captain America in a way, you know?
Yeah. And that was the thing for me, is that, to be honest with you, like we've mentioned before on the show, I'm not super huge into the comics, so there is some stuff that's being introduced to me for the first time. And the Flag Smashers were
The Flag Smashers were, yes. Flag Smashers, absolutely.
That was something that I was like, okay, I've never heard of this before. And somebody's like, well, it wasn't a group in the comic books. It was a dude. Like
the Flag Smasher.
Yeah.
If you couldn't tell, it's like the Cult of Rorschach thing here. Like in the new Watchmen show. It's literally like we are just a bunch of people following a guy who died a few years back. It's like that.
Pretty much. So, but my daughter, and the cutest thing that comes out of all of this, kept referring to the Flag Smashers as the Thanos cult.
Thanos cult.
Yeah, she somehow got it in her head in the first couple of episodes that they were the Thanos cult. So she called them the Thanos cult from then on. Actually, I had to correct her the other day when we were talking. I'm like, honey, it's the Flag Smashers. They're the Flag Smashers, not the Thanos cult.
It's not cosmic, it's political. Here, see?
Right. And so but my daughter even loved the show, so she was very happy with it at the end of the day. But cannot wait for more of this. You know, we can kind of spend. Is there anything other major? Like, oh, that was also it. His speech to those senators, the do better speech.
Yeah, man, the do better speech. Yeah,
had me like,
oof,
let's go.
Give me that shit.
Do better. You know,
do better.
I can't really I can't verbatim say it, but all or bits and pieces of it. Like, you have to go and watch it and really watch the whole episode to understand the impact of the speech when it happens. But Sam, like, I almost was in tears when he looked at him like I'm a black man carrying the stars and stripes. What don't you think I get? Like, what about this situation don't you think I get? I understand it from every possible direction, you know? And so, like, and then on top of that, it's coming from an angle of like, Sam's a different dude. Like, and what I mean by that is that Sam can help fight Thanos, for fucking God's sake. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude was a part of the crew that took down Thanos. So like, I doubt there's anything on Earth that's really going to intimidate him to the point where he doesn't feel like he can't come out victorious, you know? And so because of that, I think it makes him a very unique person beyond being the first Black Captain America. It makes his character in particular, a very unique person to carry because there's no super serum. It's just Sam. It's just Sam and the Wakanda tech. You know what I'm saying? And so that for me was huge because he's an everyday man. You know, now that everyday man can see himself as Captain America. Let's do it. You know, I'm here for that.
Yeah, to magnify down to Sam specifically, to me, in my opinion, out of this entire show, nothing for me really hit as hard as the talk that Bucky and Sam had in the final episode. Just sitting down in the trees together, not sitting down, just standing around in the trees together, having a heart-to-heart, man-to-man, like, look, dude, you got to get off your ass. You're not going to be seeking vengeance. You need to seek forgiveness for yourself. And then, like, some sort of unsaid fucking bombshell or some shit, like it's really that big. And in retrospect, Bucky just straight up says, you know, I can never understand what it's like to be Captain America and to be a black man. And that one talk that they had more depth in pushing those characters forward than 90% of punching shit. And that's not to say that that's shallow, but to say that this moment was done so fucking well.
That was very much a very key moment for both characters, because it was the moment that instilled Sam with enough confidence to say, you know what, this is what I want to do, and it instilled Bucky with enough confidence to say, I can outrun, or not outrun, but I can outlive my past. You know, I am not the Winter Soldier anymore. I can do good and bring good into this world. And don't get me wrong, the conversation between them two that's had right as Bucky's walking away, classic.
Even
classic.
better.
He's like, well, I love the part where they break it down. They're like, we're just two guys who share a friend. And Sam's like, but the friend is gone. And Bucky's like, so we're just two guys then. Like, he's like, yep, just two guys.
No, my favorite was partners. Coworkers.
His coworkers, yeah. Like they love to hate each other, and it shows, and it makes for an amazing chemistry. Somebody brought up, before we close out this segment, somebody in this group I'm in brought up this thing where they said now Bucky needs to shed the Winter Soldier and come back. Basically, they gave him an all-white Black Panthers outfit and said he needs to come back as the White Wolf. And I was like,
bro,
I'm here for it.
I'm with it. Take my fucking money. Take my fucking money.
Exactly. So, but can't wait to see where this goes. It'll probably be at least another year, because I believe they'll probably shoot Captain America 4 before we get another season of whatchamacallit. And it'll probably be the bridge from season 1 to season 2. The movie will be, but I can't wait for season 2.
Amen. All in all, good shit.
Amen.
All in all, good shit.
Oh, and last thing we didn't touch on. Carl Lumbly got his just due by the end of the series. Yep. And that Falcon had his story added to the Captain America Museum.
Immortalized.
Yeah. So that was a very poignant moment, and seeing him cry and tear up like that. Yeah.
It wasn't even the hug. It was just the moment that he looks at him and begins to walk up to him all shakily that got me all.
Yeah.
Right there. Right.
And so, bravo, Marvel. Bravo. Yeah, you've now killed it with 2 series. Let's see what you do with Loki.
Yeah, man.
All right, brother. So let's call that a half. We'll take our normal break right quick, and then we'll come back. And oh man, I can't wait to dig into that glass, baby boy. That's I'm just
flip it to the other side.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Closing out that series is gonna be fun, because that was an amazing movie to watch. Guys, you're listening to Cheap Pop Podcast right here on the 46 Presents Radio Network. Myself, Alpha, will be back to talk a little M.Night Shyamalan after the break. All right. Peace. And we're back, y'all. What's up? It's me, K Double again, Double K, and I'm here as always with my brother from another mother, the one and only Alpha. All right, brother.
You know it.
So I'm gonna let you kick us off a little bit here.
Say no more.
This was your series, so and this
epic
more. Finale. Let's rock it.
Okay, well, in that case, let's just immediately start rolling. Then let's just start picking it apart. Then, so I really like how this picked up essentially right after the events of Split. Essentially, We're talking within easily like a 2 to 3 month span here at least. And we pick up right with James McAvoy as the Horde again, doing what he does, taking young girls and just fucking tormenting them, doing what he does now. And pretty much way faster than I expected, we see Bruce Willis pretty much immediately home in on this. You know, we finished Split with just a few seconds of Bruce Willis. Here we begin seeing that not only is he here, but the same exact actor that played his son in Unbreakable is here returning as his son again, which is a huge fucking plot point here.
Yeah,
going forward, it's a very huge plot point. And seeing how they immediately converge was really fucking interesting, because for the rest of the foreseeable future of the movie, a huge plot point is the fact that the Overseer, which is probably one of the most badass hero names that I've seen come originally in a while, is the only one that's physically stood up to the Beast.
Right.
And that's our hook going forward as they are captured and imprisoned, for lack of a better term, in the same exact place as we saw Mr. Glass. And so that's just the small synopsis for the setup at this point. My first question, what do you think about the performance of Sam Jackson in this movie? Without holding much of the other things in tandem with it, in isolation, what do you think of Sam Jackson's work here?
I enjoyed it. If you haven't, I would suggest you do. But if you ever get a chance, check out a movie called 187. And it stars Samuel L. Jackson. Epic movie. Very, very, very intense movie. I feel like this character was played in a similar manner. Very, very intense. But there's definitely a soft side to him. I think that Mr. Glass is smarter than everybody. Just let it go.
Yeah.
Like, it don't matter. 120 IQ, 2000 IQ, it don't matter. Mr. Glass is smarter than you. And so I'll put it to you like this, just like I gave him credit in the first movie. He had my line of the movie with the you don't have to tell him right now. Like
don't tell him yet. Don't tell him yet.
Don't tell him yet. Like, you know, like
don't ruin my moment.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, but overall, I felt Samuel L. Jackson played the character to a T. And I found, and just a side note on him as an actor, I love the fact that throughout his career, he's pretty much found a bunch of character roles that fit him.
Yeah.
You know, so this was just another one of them. Nick Fury at his best.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But before diving into the actions of the end, I feel like it's just really important for me to voice how much I fucking adored Sam Jackson's performance here. Down to his movements, his mannerisms, and especially his fucking delivery. Everything was probably at one of its best, in my opinion. You know, in isolation of many things, this is probably one of my favorite roles he's ever done, because by the end here, we see him get into his end game villain suit, which at that point, within everything put together, pretty much makes for one of the most badass villains out of a mainline comic source that I've ever fucking seen.
First name Mr. Last name
Glass. and that's exactly what I mean. For most of this movie, Mr. Glass is indeed catatonic. He's a vegetable. He's just staring at a wall. And they don't establish until after the fact they did this because the motherfucker, while being quite literally made of glass, outsmarted every motherfucker in there over and over again, to the point that they had to sedate him so that he can't get the fuck out. Imagine being that raw. And the slow build to him actually moving and talking is done so well, because by the time you get to that point, everything that Mr. Glass says is fucking gospel. Everything is a quote. Everything you can rip it and quote it, and it's badass as fuck. And especially when you get to the point where he's talking down to Bruce Willis and he's like, that door is metal. but you're a normal human. You can't break that, can you?
Yeah, you can't.
And
yeah.
he gets that slowly demeaning tone, and you can hear it in the back of his voice without saying it. He's like, come on, you know you can fucking do it.
Yep. And
everything is in that delivery.
I got to give credit. Okay. So I'm going to break into something real quick.
Go ahead, please.
That doesn't really get, it kind of dives into the ending a little bit, but this was just something that pissed me off. Very little things, very minimal things pissed me off about this movie. I enjoyed it from pillar to post, just like I have this entire series. There was one thing that pissed me off. If you were going to introduce some kind of shadow organization, they should have been introduced in Unbreakable. You don't introduce them in the last movie of the series. Like that's the only part that really disappointed me. I was like, I would have wanted to see more of that. Like that doctor and everything. Like that I would have wanted to see more of that. But at the end of the day, I liked the impact of it. I liked her trying to convince them that they were nothing but just normal dudes. Like, you can't really do this shit. Like, you're just doing it because of actual real factors, like science. You know, I can prove
you have reason to believe that you would. And here's why.
Right. You know, but at the end of the day, even all of that was beyond her. You know, she almost had Bruce Willis, had that nigga sitting in the damn corner crying, rocking back and forth. I'm human. But of course, you know, Mr. Glass was playing her the whole time. And then, can I say this, my friend?
Oh.
I want to take every Oscar from now on and for best actor and just give it to James McAvoy.
Oh my fucking God, man.
From now till I die, that man deserves every Oscar. The scenes when they kept flashing the light in his face and he kept becoming different characters. Oh my God. Oh my God.
It's literally like, you know that episode of SpongeBob? Like, it's literally James McAvoy. Like, you want to see me act my ass off?
Yeah.
Want to see me do it again?
Pretty much.
Like I said here, when it comes to James McAvoy's presentation of portraying the different characters, he changes literally everything about himself. He changes the way he moves, the way he walks, the way his eyes are set with their resting position. It's not only just I put on a funny accent. It was really fucking interesting to just over and over and over again see him just switching that shit and the logic behind that even more so.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, every personality he became a different character, including the Beast. Like that was what was amazing. It's not like he could have like. There's a lot of actors who would have played the Beast just as like this grunting, like rah rah rah.
Yeah,
McAvoy gave you this like demon, like this demon that existed,
obsessed with the unburnt or whatever. Yeah, like it's so much deeper than I'm just angry and I need to feed.
Right. And so it was great. Like we can jump into that with McAvoy's character. You say the movie kicks off with him now again with 4 young teenage girls tied up in some place somewhere, fucking with Patricia running the show, and it once again you see his little be able to switch between this person and that person. You see the one girl, she's like, why do you keep fucking with us? Like this isn't funny anymore.
What are you doing?
And you're right. Like they get right to it with his character and the engagement between him and Bruce Willis. And so it was great to see that happen immediately. It was great to see the Beast to become a character of his own. Because I kind of feel even at the end of Split, Beast was more portrayed as just this raw, like I'm gonna kill and eat, and not like they said, like a demon, like a actual intelligent creature type thing. And this one, I feel like from the get-go, he's portrayed more as that. And I think that's what set off the movie for me, especially during that first fight scene. It was just like, ooh, yeah, oh, he's taking that. Oh, wait a minute. You know, and I can say I would love to see 3 more movies with just James McAvoy playing the Horde.
Right.
Like just give me 3 more movies with that. But at the end of the day, this was a great finale to a epic series. And Split was such an intense movie, and I felt that was carried over very well into the beginning part of this movie. Like that just that level of intensity that McAvoy and that character, the Horde, bring to the screen was just, and then like you said, all of a sudden they get arrested. So, but your thoughts on McAvoy and his portrayal of the Horde?
Yeah, man, I'm incredibly happy with how that panned out. It has been literally just 2 movies of McAvoy acting his fucking ass off, and the way he does it is extremely fucking interesting. And what I've learned over these past 3 movies is that although it does follow a very formulaic design, it's like this for a reason. And I think this is why it's so good, because Shyamalan can do good work. Shyamalan can make good presentation for work. Shyamalan can't fucking structure anything. Shyamalan can't correctly structure a story to be cohesive. And I think that's why this ended up being so good as something created by him, because he's working off of the format of something else. The whole point of this series is that it's the golden tried and true format, but in Shyamalan's style of paint.
Right.
And I think that's why it panned out so fucking well. And I think that's why I loved Glass so much here, and Mr. Glass specifically, because much like I used this wording with Thanos, despite the fact that Mr. Glass knows he's above everybody, he realizes that it isn't about him and that he's a servant to a greater purpose. And although Mr. Glass wants to prove to everybody he's the smartest motherfucker, that comes second to fulfilling this prophecy that he is dead set on creating. And so everything in this movie that Mr. Glass does is to push forward this prophecy that he wants for the world. And going into this, you there's a lot of different ways how you might expect the 3 characters to go down. Like initially my thought was like, okay, it's probably going to come down to Bruce Willis and Sam Jackson teaming up against the Horde together.
Right.
Wrong. Mr. Glass is Lex Luthor and the Horde is Doomsday. That is the relationship played here. Lex Luthor is the A-tier villain summoning something S-tier to fuck some shit up. Yes. That's what we're seeing here. and I really liked that relationship portrayed, and how it wasn't just Mr. Glass doing the villain shit like, hey, I don't like this guy, you don't like that either, let's go kick his fucking ass. No, he went to Patricia and he played upon the fear of them and played upon the fact that the beast relies on their belief. It was deeper than that, and I like that.
And that just, once again, that shows you that Glass was always thinking on a completely different level than everybody else. 10 steps ahead. And I like that this movie was about him, but the movie didn't center around him. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, this was all about his...
Can I break in there real quick?
Sure.
Just real quick with a thought. And I didn't realize it until my second viewing around here for this. I was like, oh my God, it finally fucking hit me like a bullet in the head. Like, dude, Unbreakable is called Unbreakable because it's about the Overseer, and his power is that it stems, like, he doesn't have super strength. He doesn't have super this. Everything about him stems from the fact that he can't be broken. Split is derived from the fact that the Horde gets their powers from their split personalities. Glass is called Mr. Glass, not because it's about Mr. Glass, not because the whole series was about Mr. Glass, but because at the end of Glass, no matter what the fuck happened, Mr. Glass won. That he died and lost everything, but he still fucking won. Not anybody else, just him.
His last words were like, I was right. Like, that's one of his last lines right before he croaks, is I was right, the whole time. Like you say, it may have gotten me killed, but
I called that shit.
But I called that shit. You know, and well, I don't think that it was always about Mr. Glass, but I always believe his purpose was to bring together the Beast and the Overseer to watch them do battle. You know, I don't think he expected the Overseer's son to crack the news to the Horde that soon. You know, I thought he expected to see a victor, you know, crowned before he was killed. But at the end of the day, he got what he wanted. He got the battle that he wanted. And he also got, as we come to find out, the exposure that he wanted. And that was huge, you know, for people like them. I don't know, like the Doctor kind of like seemed a little bit out of place to me.
Yeah,
like I liked
I don't know
her.
about you, but like I think it would have been really cool if like at the end of Unbreakable or some shit, like maybe a little piece in the newspaper there was like a slight foreshadowing about that, or like maybe at the end of Split, maybe if the bitch who was like, what was that guy's name? Oh yeah, it was Mr. Glass. Maybe they pan back to that moment and maybe up her wrist as she has the symbol too. Like I don't know, maybe even something like that would have done good to make that whole organization and the Doctor be just a little bit more, have a little bit more to chew on. You know what I mean?
Right. And it was just one of those type of things where I understood what she was trying to do, but I don't want to say her motives weren't clear. It was just a matter of like, I'm like, okay, like really, to be honest with you, at one point my brain goes, who the fuck is this bitch? And who is she to just walk in here and just be like, hey, y'all ain't superheroes, y'all just crazy.
They literally tell you in the movie too that the workers, like word for word, one of the workers literally says, this bitch came out of nowhere and just took over everything, and now we're just supposed to listen to her. Like in lore, that's your reasoning.
Like, okay. I guess since you just materialized out of thin air, bitch, I'm just supposed to treat you like you got it Aphrodite, right?
Literally, like the last Skywalker. Somehow Palpatine has returned. No context.
No. Just move on. He returned, okay?
That's all that matters. Like,
but it did give you somebody else, because like I said, they did give you three sympathetic characters in Bruce Willis, Glass, and whatchamacallit. It did give you somebody to hate.
Yeah,
it did give you somebody to hate. But I liked the way everybody was portrayed. I hated the fact, and I'll get into the ending now, to that final sequence.
Let's break down the ending.
I hated the fact that nobody survived.
Yeah,
that's the part that upset me. Like. It just didn't make any sense to me. Why kill the Overseer? You know what I'm saying? Why, you know, Glass, okay, whatever. He was the bad guy. He released the Horde. The Horde, okay, I get it. Like, he was running around and, like, eating
motherfuckers.
Like, I get it. But I never understood why kill Overseer.
Yeah.
Like, and once again, the movie didn't really make it clear her motives in doing that. You know, and so...
basically... What she describes is that 100% Mr. Glass was right.
Yeah.
The lore of comics is 100% literally just the documentation of human history renamed so that humans can never know the power that they actually hold. Because when people find out that they have powers, they either go good or they go bad. Yeah. And whenever they go good or they go bad, if one exists, the other will come up to diametrically oppose it.
Right.
And she basically confirms, like, yeah, you're right. This is human history. Me and my group for 10,000 years have been keeping it like this. You were right. Good night. Now die.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's basically, and I understand like the way that they went about it. They kind of played it sympathetically. You know, they make it clear that she's probably the only one who wants to come about it safely and not do it by killing them.
Yeah.
And then killing them is the last resort. You know.
I don't know. But knowing that,
it's
the big disappointment comes in, and this is why I can understand why some people are like, the ending sucks. You don't set up a fourth movie and never give me a fourth movie. And that's effectively what it is you're billing this as the end of a trilogy, but yet the end of the trilogy sets up a fourth movie.
Like they're planting two different sets of seeds here, and that's the worst part now, because we finished the ending with knowledge that superheroes exist, And that basically what Sam Jackson is saying is that if I get this knowledge out, we will give each other permission to do this, and we can do this, and we will all know, and it'll be completely different. And so he's basically what I call like the Inhumans effect, because the Inhumans effect is throw some mist on everybody, you all have powers, let's fucking do this shit, right?
Yeah.
and that's this, you know, you have this thing where you could run the idea that all these different people have awoken their powers, or you literally have Bruce Willis's son, who you could just run as he has powers as it is fucking hereditary.
Yeah.
You have two sets of stories you can run here. But if I am being honest, I do think that they talked about the showdown rule. What's the rule of the showdown? That the heroes die. Only the hero dies. Why did everybody die then?
Yeah, exactly. Why did everybody die? But I don't know, man. I don't know. Like that just sat with me wrong. But one of my favorite. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I thought you were done. Go ahead, bro.
No, go for it. I'm almost done.
Like
it just didn't sit right.
Yeah, my first time around, I was like, man, that was kind of fucking whack. Like I got like an empty pit in my chest. Like, man, that wasn't fulfilling. Like I just watched everybody die. But like on the second time around, like thinking about it in the bigger picture, it is a little bit easier to think about like that. And I guess like I like to think about it as well. Like, would you have rather this followed the formulaic end and this ended exactly how you expected it to, or would you have rather the curveball?
Yeah. I enjoyed the curveball in the sense of it being a curveball, but if you're going to give me a curveball, give me another movie. Like that's where my problem lies. It's not that the curveball was put in there. It's just that the curveball was put in there knowing that you're not going to do a fourth movie. So it's like, okay, well, to me, like that's a big middle finger up your ass. Like it's like you know, like, hey guys, guess what? I'm going to leave you. It would be like if the dude that wrote Alphas, like knew that they were never going to get a second season and still wrote the ending like that. It's like a big fuck you to the audience. Yeah. And
it's less of a curveball, more of a loose end.
Right. You know, and so don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the curveball, but the curveball left me wanting more, and knowing that there's not going to be more just sucked. You know, and so I as a series as a whole, I love the way everything tied together. I would love to read the comic books to see how close to the comic books was his vision. And I can say this. I'm sorry I didn't watch these movies when they first came out. Like during their time frames. You know, well, a lot of people had seen them. Basically, by the time we got to the third movie, I hadn't seen the first two, so I was just like, fuck it, I'll catch it on HBO or something. You know, like bullshit, right? You know, like, but I'm glad we went back and watched it because I truly enjoyed A+ as a series, as a whole series of 3 movies, as a whole trilogy. A+. Well, stories told, good story, and this is funny. This is funny for me to say that the continuity is what I liked about it. And the reason why I say that is because you had Bruce Willis's story. Glass was involved in that story, but Bruce Willis was the center point.
That was his story.
You had McAvoy, you had the Horde story, and it was just the Horde story. There was like we talked about when we discussed it a couple of weeks ago. Only thing that ties Split to Unbreakable is that last
final scene.
That final scene. That's it. That's the only thing that ties it to it as far as but it made it, but it perfectly fitted into the world. I think Glass gave us that nice little bow and cherry on top. Yeah. So I think
metaphorically, I feel like the last twist at the end, finding out that, finding out that the whole reason that all of this is happening to McAvoy is because the same train that Bruce Willis went on was not only the one that killed his father, but if you're looking at the book, that means that if you looked at the book he was reading, that means that some way, shape, or form, his mental illness is hereditary. But he couldn't have known that.
True, huh? Because his dad was reading the whatchamacallit on D&D, and died on the train. Yeah, true,
And so
huh?
it's two little hits in one, but
I didn't
it
even
does
put that together.
nicely tie it all together in a really interesting way. Not just because, oh wait, it's back to Unbreakable. It literally pretty much gives you both reasons why the Horde even exists in one singular moment.
That's insane. Well done, Shyamalan. Well done. And I say your word. I say your name correctly because I have respect for you now. After you did until I saw these three movies, after you did Last Airbender, you were gonna be Shyamalamalan until the day
You're
I
gonna
die.
be Shamafail. Trash.
Yeah. Just stay away from that series, man. Don't do another movie of the Avatar series, and we're all good.
Don't touch no more anime shit, and we're fucking fine.
Pretty much.
Yeah, this Shyamalan shaded superhero story was probably one of my favorite of all time. Out of the three movies, I love all three of them a lot, but my passion for Split is unparalleled. My favorite in the series is Graham movie, but go ahead.
No, I got to be right there with you. Of
Yeah.
all three, if I had to rank them 1, 2, 3, Split would be my one.
Yeah.
Not to say Unbreakable wasn't a great movie, but to me, Split was
just on a whole nother level.
Something
else. Yeah, man. I really enjoyed this shit, and I really found the pacing interesting. The pacing changes for each movie, and it isn't something that is disorienting or confusing or wrong. It's something that fits each story very well, in my opinion. Everything I don't know if I've said this yet, but I know I've talked about it before with other people. A lot of the things in these movies aren't things that are directly said to you. You have to really look at them and pick up on it. And so I understand if someone walking in from a very casual perspective doesn't really pick up on everything and doesn't understand it and doesn't really enjoy it because of that. Because a lot of the very, very specific nuances and depths of this movie, you have to infer, listen, or see without direct contact. And it's really interesting. But when you pick up those things, especially on your second or third time around watching it, it does a lot to make the stories better. And I really fucking love that.
Yep.
Okay.
As a whole, it's a very clean series. I'm not gonna act like it's perfect and it's impeccable, but I would give it an A too. The things that I don't like about it, I would say are just very nitpicky or very, this and this sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, here's something that stands out for me. And I'll say it like this. I've always said this about movies, especially when it comes to comic book movies or sequels. Does it stand on its own? Does it work within the series?
That's a very good way to put it.
Unbreakable, I felt could have stood on its own. Unbreakable had been the only movie to come out in the series. I think Unbreakable stands as a great movie. Split, I think, stands as an amazing movie.
Yeah. Like I said too, you could, I feel like the best way to watch Split isn't even knowing it's a part of the series. That, in my opinion, best way to experience Split, because it makes it a better experience.
Here's where I defer from a lot of people with Glass.
Yeah.
I feel there's a lot of information given to you in Split and in Unbreakable that are pertinent to Glass and helping you understand how you got to where you are and why you're going where you're going. Yeah. So I think that the last one is definitely one that I don't think you have to have seen the first two to enjoy it, but it enhances the experience to have seen the first two when you're watching it.
Yeah.
Because they do a lot of flashbacks and they give you a lot of feeder information within Glass by itself. So as a standalone movie, it could stand alone, but I don't think it stands up to the same level as Split or Unbreakable. And so, but I think it serves very well as the ending of a trilogy. It serves that to a T. But as a standalone movie, it would be kind of that story wouldn't feel whole to me. But but as an ending to a trilogy, I like it.
Yeah, of course. I like to think about it like that too. Is this a good movie, and is this a good Shyamalan superhero trio movie?
Yeah,
very good and very important question to ask. And I feel like I agree with you very fucking firmly there. Unbreakable could have easily been in only one thing, and it still would have been remembered as an amazing fucking story, an amazing take on the superhero story. That could have been left in isolation. And the thing about Split is it could be left in isolation easily, But once you figure out that it is in tandem with it, it enhances it very much so. And I do agree that if I were to watch Glass first, I wouldn't, or if I were to introduce someone to the series and they watched Glass first, I wouldn't blame them if they were a bit iffy to begin with because of the way Glass runs things.
Yeah.
But it is very important, you know, to hold it into fact that it is the end of the story, and for all intents and purposes, it is a good end of the story, because regardless of how it ends, it doesn't leave anything untied. It doesn't leave loose ends. It doesn't leave any more questions, and it does leave me wanting more. Absolutely, it leaves me wanting so much more. But does it leave me seeing where all of the plot holes are poked in? Fuck no.
No, not at all. And that's the bonus to what we got to watch, is that you very rarely get to see stories get wrapped up nice, neat in a bow and clean like that. And it was nice to see that. So, well, we're running a little low on time. We're down to our last minute, so it doesn't look like we're going to have time to talk Mortal Kombat. We'll save that for another episode.
Works just as well.
But the next episode that we do of Comic Books, guys, get your splash suits on, get ready for the blood and gore, because we're going to be talking Invincible, baby. Oh yeah.
Oh, man. Hell
all
yes.
8 episodes. Omni-Man is my dude. The fight I want to see before I see anything else other animated is Omni-Man versus Goku. It would be an amazing fight. Yeah, like I just think it would be utterly amazing to talk about that. So we'll be talking about that next episode. And yeah. Oh, and we'll also be talking, what was it, Bad Batch comes out on May 1st.
Yeah, we'll be talking Bad Batch too. Yeah.
So by the time we do our next comics episode. So next week, though, join us where we're back to the sweaty men in tights. And we're going to talk a little Raw, SmackDown. AEW's got their Blood and Guts coming up this upcoming week, so we'll be talking that. And John tells me there's some interesting things going on over in NXT, so I'm going to have to check that out as well before we record for next week. So, y'all, John, any last words for our people?
Oh, my people, please be safe. We'll be back again next week with some sweaty men throwing each other the hell around, and then the week after, we're going to be talking about why J.K. Simmons, even in animation form, still has a better mustache than absolutely fucking everyone. Be safe and good night.
On that note, we'll say peace.